Congress is shifting focus to immigration reform, starting with a procedural vote in the Senate today. The president spelled out 3 priorities over the weekend: securing the border, ending so-called chain migration within families, and stopping the visa lottery. The president did not mention DACA, the program he intends to phase out. It protected young immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children. CBS News contributor Ed O'Keefe is a congressional reporter for The Washington Post. Good morning, Ed.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
We're glad to have you here. What's happening in the Senate with this immigration?
They're kind of going back to the future, John. They're gonna do things the way they're supposed to do it and the way they used to do it years ago. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell snatched a bill off the shelf last week, something random that would pass if they ever brought it up on its own, and said, "Look, we're going to use it as the shell, and you can change this bill with immigration proposals so long as it gets at least 60 votes of support, because you got to clear those cloture rules." And at this point, we're expecting Democrats, Republicans separately, Democrats and Republicans together, to bring forward a bunch of proposals and see what, if anything, can get 60 votes in the Senate.
And this is like the old days, because the Senate's actually doing its job, figuring out what the legislation is, not just pre-cooking something from the White House.
Exactly.
If something gets 60 votes in the Senate, is there any chance it could get a majority of Republican votes in the House?
That is the big question, and that is what's really bedeviling members this week as they try to sort this out. Because Paul Ryan has said, we'll hold a vote in the House so long as it's on something President Trump supports. Well, we know he has those 4 things he'd like to do: 1.8 million Dreamers legalized, border security money, changes to family-based migration, and ending the diversity lottery. Republicans have proposed that, and there will be a vote on it in the Senate, and it probably won't pass. So at that point, they have to sit there and go, well, what can we take away or what can we add to it to get the 60, and then hope that the president likes it, and then hope that the House will vote on it.
So what on the substance is the House not like in that proposal?
In the Trump proposal? No, they like the Trump, Republicans like the Trump proposal. The problem is Democrats don't, and there may actually be a fair number of Republicans who don't want to vote for it either, because they have concerns perhaps with the chain migration issues. So, it's just one of those tricky ones that we don't know exactly how it's going to end.
And of course, they're running up against a March 5th deadline, an arbitrary deadline set by the president. Any plans on possibly extending that?
So the White House has said repeatedly the deadline is March 5th. But courts are still thinking about this and what exactly should be the scope of the program. So Homeland Security still has to accept visa renewals and is still protecting it. So it's conceivable that the program could continue through the summer.
Switching to the Rob Porter and the sexual abuse and domestic violence allegations that have been leveled there, what oversight are some of those in Congress saying that they want, especially when it comes to the security clearance process?
Democrats last week, it was like every hour there was another Democrat calling for some kind of an investigation or questions to be answered. The problem is the White House sends most of those emails right to the delete folder.
Yeah, but you have a dozen aides who don't have permanent security clearances, one of which the president's son-in-law, who might be reading the presidential daily brief every day.
Yeah, and Republicans so far have refused to really take up the issue at all, saying that, this is something for the FBI to deal with. They go with the argument that folks in the administration made over the weekend, that there's a backlog and they're dealing with it. But I think at this point, given that you have somebody who was accused of domestic violence, who was handling this sensitive information.
So there hasn't been a peep from one Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee about that?
Not publicly, but we know privately they've got concerns with this, absolutely. Just the question is, what are they going to do? What are they going to stop them? Because they say, look, these people work at the pleasure of the president. If he wants them to work for him, there's very little we can do to stop them.
And quickly, infrastructure bill down on arrival?
Yes. About as stalled as the traffic out on the Arizona this morning.
Very quickly,
not going anywhere.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much. Great to see you.